Grow, 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 grow. Yeah, 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 yeah. For the love of money, niggas come around. For the love of money, some stay around. For the love of money, nigga will do. For the love of the money. Yeah. I gotta shake it 12 at night to 5 in the morning. They don't give a fuck now. If it's for that money, niggas gon' bark and they bite like a motherfucking dog. Gotta twat it like a motherfucking dog. For that cat, I am gon' roof and I'm barking at that cat, and I am gon' take the roof off when I'm riding that ride. Rip leaning to the left, but I'm steady on the right. I'm swerving with a purpose. A nigga been sipping on that purple. A nigga cheaping on purple. Cause I'm getting money. Cause I'm getting money. I'm laughing all the way to the motherfucking bank, and I'm telling her, tell me later if she thinking what I'm thinking. Damn, get money. I walk about the bank and I stuck up in the wheel, headed to my next big destination.
Couch, an independent talk show discussing and analyzing the daily news cycles and introducing new grassroots personalities. Please welcome Craig Jardula Pasta. How are you?
Thank you for having me on, Jimmy. The biggest story of the year with octopus tentacles everywhere. Thank you so much.
So I brought Craig on to talk about this show because I don't know anything about it. So it's going to have to fall on his shoulders. Now, here's a tweet, right, from this guy, Ben Q. He says, FTX CEO. So there's this company named FTX, which I guess is some cryptocurrency kind of a company. His name is Sam Bankman-Fried. That's his name, Bankman-Fried. Bankman. That's kind of an ironic name. He bankrolled the Democratic Party's midterms war chest to the sum of $40 million using funds from his now bankrupt crypto exchange. Meanwhile, blameless customers have likely lost billions in savings. This is a scandal everyone should be talking about. So, do I have? I do have jokes for this. Let me see. Go ahead.
The jokes should write themselves on this one.
Go ahead. Oh, I do have. Oh, by the way, that's his name. I like his name because he sounds like a superhero who smokes too much weed, right? Sam Bankman-Fried. Fried Bankman. That's what I like. So Kim.com said the FTX thief stole $1 billion from his customers and donated $100 million to the Democrats. 10% for the big guy. So they're referring to that thing they got off Hunter Biden's laptop when he was doing shady deals with China, and they were saying, hey, 10%'s got to go to the big guy. That means so that's what's going on there. Sounds to me like the kid knows how shit works and has a bright future, even though his haircut sucks. Anyway, So let me just show you one more. This is from Edward Snowden. He says the White House sanctions and arrests kids for the crime of building privacy tools to protect you, while regulators were quietly palling around with the thieves who just robbed 5 million people. The difference, the thieves were big political donors. And this is the FTX. So they say this goes all the way to Ukraine. So I'm going to... It says, so Joe Biden and Zelensky have been laundering money. Biden funded Ukraine, and then Ukraine funded FTX, and then FTX funded the Democrats. So they impeached Trump for a so remember they impeached. So anyway, that's a. And then one more here. It says collapsed cryptocurrency exchange FTX had ties to Ukrainian government, the WEF, and top Biden advisor. So here's one more. It says. Ukraine partners with FTX, Evers Take, to launch new crypto donation website. So it looks like there might be something to this conspiracy theory as we analyze this conspiracy. We are conspiracy analysts at this show. So Ukraine was laundering money operation all along. Yeah, the West donates billions to the war effort. Zelensky invests that money into FTX. And then the CEO of FTX is the second biggest donor to the Democrats. FTX then files for bankruptcy, and then billions of dollars go missing. So let me bring in Craig Pasta. Craig, explain to me what the hell is going on.
Well, it's, I look at it as another Wall Street bet scam right off the jump. And when I say the Wall Street bet scam, what I mean is that the bankers and all the elites are going to do what they normally do, and that's screw over the little guy. And at the end of the day, nobody's going to go to jail. I mean, I hope that there will be some justice in this situation. But FTX is pretty much just a crypto exchange that started in 2019. But the questions are, and it's very much linked to like a lot of the Epstein questions, is where did the money come from? We understand that he inflated his coin, his altcoin of sorts, by his second largest investor, just pumping in a ton of the money, driving the coin up, and all on speculation, just, was able to get Hollywood people, athletes involved like Tom Brady, Kevin O'Leary, to go out and sponsor, do commercials for this coin. The only problem is this recently, everybody was locked out of their accounts. He claimed there was a hack, but we found out it was just nothing more than a big laundering operation. And this has tentacles everywhere, Jimmy. Everywhere you look in this story, there's who this guy is, who he's connected to, both his parents, Stanford professors, right? He went to MIT. He worked as a quant in a small boutique place, and then eventually, out of nowhere, with somehow some connections to top officials in the SEC, was able to start this exchange. I mean, by my personal opinions, by looking at all this situation over here, this guy was not an accident. This guy was almost meant to be, because at the end of the day, with this whole situation taking place, even the people who did the screwing, who got involved with all the money and all the laundering, that being the Democratic Party, this morning, Jimmy, we had found out that FTX had given about $40 million in the 2022 cycle for the election. Now we found more information. It's up to $70 million we have now found that has gone to the Democratic Party mostly. There were a couple Republicans like Mitt Romney, I believe, and Ben Sass, who got like 10 grand each, but mostly it was just Democratic Party operatives. And then all those people around him. His aunt works at the WEF, the World Economic Forum. She's been there for quite some time. His brother, who got a lot of donations and monies for his philanthropy, which was all centered around the lockdown craziness, like the next great pandemic. So that's where his philanthropy and money went to. So he has connections all over the board.
Hey, let me just bring up the WEF. You brought up the WEF.
Yes.
The WEF is trying to hide their connection to FTX now. Yes. So Zero Hedge tweeted out, "Dear Davos Elite and the WEF, it appears you accidentally deleted your FTX partner website. Lucky for you, we found it on the Internet Archive, and here it is." Yep. So this is from the World Economic Forum, and it says FTX. FTX is a cryptocurrency exchange built by traders for traders. FTX offers innovative products, including an industry-first derivatives, options, volatility. So the charge is that this was a scam all along, and that the United States government gave billions of dollars to the Ukraine. Ukraine then gave I don't know how much money to this FTX. FTX then gave that money to the Democratic Party to the tune of $70 million, is what you're saying?
Something around that range. See, here's the thing. We don't know the exact avenues just yet. What we do know is that the Ukrainian government was getting tons of donations in crypto, but they had problems with that crypto turning into fiat, and then fiat to get it to weapons to kill Russians with, yada, yada, yada. So the CEO, this guy, Bank-Fried, stepped on in and made an announcement that they were going to help with the exchange process because they were an exchange, taking some of that crypto and then turning it into fiat and eventually getting that money back into the hands of the Ukrainians for weapons and aid and everything else. The only thing is that they got caught funneling a lot of that money back into the DNC and back into candidates and all. It was just a scam that way. So it was, I mean, like I said, we don't have the exact ins and out just yet. There's a lot of things that have not come to fruition in the story. For instance, who got their money in and who got their money out. But we know that there is definitely a lot of smoke there. And we know that this particular CEO of FTX offered to step up and help Ukraine with the exchanges. We're going to find out more in the next several days what exactly went where, all the people involved. I mean, I don't think they can hide this. But like I said, all the information is not out there yet, including who got their money in and who got their money out.
So 129 million. And then FTX right there, number 3, 7. Is that 70 million? That's what that is. Right?
Like I said, this morning it was 40 million. As more information's coming out, now we know it's 70 million. It's like this is the gift that keeps on giving of stories.
So this is their little flow chart. This guy from FTX donates all that money to the Democratic Party, PACs and candidates. They back Biden. Biden gives tax money in the form of military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. Ukraine then gives that money to him. He then gives that money to the da-da. Do you see how this works, right? You see how this works?
But see, the money that's coming away from Joe Biden, and this is personal money, that's our tax dollars.
Right.
That's coming there. And, like he stepped in, like, I'm going to help with the process. We're going to get this crypto turned to fiat. We're going to get you your weapons. It's dragging on, yada, yada, yada. And so how much money was going into the pockets of these politicians and how much was actually going back to Ukraine?
And so it just goes to show you that they were using Ukraine as a money laundering outfit scam, just like Afghanistan was. Here's Julian Assange to remind us what these wars are all about. What's Libya about? What's Iraq about? What's Afghanistan about? What's Syria about? What's Ethiopia about? What's Yemen about? What's Ukraine mostly about? It's about this.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
So that's why Joe Biden was allowed to shut down the Afghanistan money laundering scheme of the military-industrial complex and shift it over to Ukraine because they had another one waiting. And then after Ukraine, they've got China, right? And so they're not stopping the war machine. Now they have Ethiopia, and now they have Somalia. Now they have, so they're not stopping the war machine. He was allowed to end one of them, Afghanistan, because it's been 2 decades. And they thought, well, it's better to, and it is. It works like a charm. Nobody's calling for them to end the Ukrainian war. Nobody's calling them to end what we're doing in Somalia or Yemen or Ethiopia or Syria. We're still occupying a third of Syria. Remember, it's the oil part. So it's a great distraction. Would you agree, Craig?
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, Jimmy, a lot of people got shut out of their accounts. And you just think about who uses crypto. A lot of older people don't invest in crypto. I can't get my mom to budge on crypto. They don't understand it. So this is definitely going to be an attack on the youth. Not just the fact that a different generation is more invested in crypto. It's that now, more than anything, they're going to use this as an excuse to further regulate the market. You know what I'm saying? All that decentralized coins, the ones that Max Kaiser talks about. That's what this is all about. They're going to use this situation to go in there and make sure, just like they hired the 81,000 IRS employees, that's to come after crypto. This is going to further allow them to once again suppress and put more digital chains on us so we can't collect the money that's deserving of us. In other words, they're cutting off other avenues of income. I mean, most of my money for my show comes from Rockfin. I've been demonetized 2 years now on YouTube. So just imagine how much more they can regulate the market and really try to shut people out. And that's what they're going to attempt to do.
So they're good. So they set up this scam, and then they're going to use this scam so they could get more power to regulate crypto, which is a threat to the US dollar. That's again, it's just like, boy, it's like 9/11. It just happened to work out that they got everything the military industrial complex wanted out of that. It's just amazing, all the authoritarian crap that we lost. Habeas corpus because of that. We lost the Fourth Amendment because of that. We don't have privacy anymore. We every email, every text, every phone call you make is being recorded by the government.
Yeah,
that's happening.
And we have to have answers now too as well. There's a lot of people involved, like Tom Brady, Kevin O'Leary. You know who Kevin O'Leary is?
Yes, from Shark Tank.
Okay, so now he was their spokesperson at one point, and he was getting paid in their coin. And I'm assuming that a lot of older people don't want to invest too much in the crypto market. So anytime they get any crypto assets, they would usually turn it to fiat and keep that money invested somewhere else. So we need answers on how much he knew, what was going on. That's a guy who never makes a deal on Shark Tank, but yet he went and got involved with FTX and this guy, which really couldn't show a lot of stuff on paper as far as liquidity. It was all speculation. So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered. It's almost like the Bernie Madoff scam. I think the only reason why some information has come to light is there's a couple people with a few bucks out there that are making some noise that got robbed. If that wasn't the case, I think it'd be a lot like Wall Street Bets, and they would put this thing to bed quietly while a bunch of people, thousands of people like me, my friends, got locked out of their accounts. Money was there, and now it's gone. They're locked out. And all that money has been taken out. You know, it was lied that it was a hack. Then they found out the movement of money. What had happened was an executive from the company, MSVX, the second largest investor, he started selling off his money right away, and that kind of buzzed out the whole market. And all of a sudden, people started taking out their funds, and that's when they just locked everything up, said there was a hack, and now here we are today.
Last I heard that this guy right here was on his way to Argentina.
There's Argentina, Hong Kong, the Bahamas. From what we understand right now is that he's loosely detained in the Bahamas. In other words, he's on house arrest of sorts. And he just recently put his Bahama as well. And Jimmy, there's this whole, when I say this is the gift that keeps on giving as stories, there's the whole conspiracy side of this thing. There was a low-level executive of sorts in the Caribbean, in Puerto Rico, I believe it was, that was about to whistleblow on these guys, and he ended up drowned in it and dead.
Of course.
You know, they got that whole situation going on with that. There's I think it was his Twitter or his Instagram profile. He was wearing a shirt, and he had a symbol on one of his shirts, and I guess that was kind of like the mirror image of the sex pedophilia website of the FBI or the speculation. I don't even get into the conspiracy part of it yet because there's so much other stuff going on. But like I said, there's just so many things. He was living with his coworkers, all 20-something odd years old, in an incubator-style place in the Bahamas, and supposedly they were all sexually active, and there was a lot of stuff going on. So there's so much to this story. It's like I said, it's like an octopus. There's so much stuff to it. And there's a lot of stuff who got their money out and who was tipped off. I want to know who got tipped off. I am praying that we get some leaks and we get some answers, because some people, they got to answer for what they did.
We'll see you November 19th and 20th in Austin, Texas. November 26th, that's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, in Burbank. And then all December, we're going to be in Los Angeles doing Friday night shows. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all the tickets and become a premium member. While you're there, you get all of our videos unedited. jimmydore.com, not Jimmy Dore Comedy.
Oh, there's so much we don't know. Ex-founder Sam Bankman-Fried's family boasts deep ties to Democrat power. Freed's family boasts deep ties to Democrat power players. That's the narrative right now, I guess, that Bankman was, and he was effectively buying his immunity. Because we know what happens when you are standing behind powerful Democrats. How about this? Sonny Hostin on The View claimed she committed voter fraud, literally and outright. Again, I'm not saying she did commit voter fraud. I'm saying she claimed she did. She said she voted for her son. Her son was not in New York, as it's been reported. So who signed the documents? Who filled it out? Be an investigation. Of course there won't. Now, the thing about Sam Bankman-Fried and his family's ties to Democrats is that when you lose $11 billion of U.S. citizen money, you can't really hide that one. It's kind of amazing. And it makes me wonder, maybe what really needs to happen with all of this stuff, political, cultural, y'all need to just, say it, protest. I was talking about this the other night. It's a point I've brought up quite a bit. There's the old story about Robert Spencer being banned on Patreon and the CEO being like, if I, MasterCard wanted him removed, and if I didn't remove him, then I would, like, the whole platform would get shut down and we'd get tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views would be effective. And I'm just like, is that a joke? Make the play chicken with MasterCard. Be like, okay, guys, I get it. MasterCard's very big. Let's see what happens when hundreds of thousands of people have their transactions canceled. And some of the most influential people in the world, which use Patreon, these big podcasts, all of a sudden have no money. Let's see who looks like the bad guy. But that's what I see here. We see stories like this. I'll give another story. Kari Lake in Arizona. 1.3 million people vote for Kari Lake. I don't see 1.3 million people out marching in the streets protesting. In Brazil, I do. And that's the issue, man. Democrats know y'all ain't going to do anything about it. What you need to do is nonviolent civil disobedience. We need an investigation into what's going on with this dude and his family and all this stuff, because, he's trying to pass the buck. We have this story from the Daily Mail. Disgraced Sam Bankman-Fried blames his ex-girlfriend for FTX collapse and loss of $32 billion as he admits he lied about being moral and calls ethics a dumb game we woke Westerners play. So that everybody likes us. That's what he said. Now, it's a $32 billion loss, but I think it was specifically for Americans. It was something around like 11 billion. Let me see if it's, I think it was 11 billion. I don't know, whatever. Basically, what's happening is he's now claiming that he loaned the money to Alameda. His girlfriend ran it, and she gambled with it and lost it. And now the company. Let's talk about how fun this story gets. In this tweet from the Nancy Pelosi stock tracker, you can't make this up if you tried. On November 30th, the New York Times was planning to host a live event with Sam Bankman-Fried, Zelensky, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, and U.S. Treasury Janet Yellen as the main speakers. Cost to attend, $2,400. Holy what? That's amazing. Sam Bankman-Fried, Zelensky, Larry Fink, and Janet Yellen, all available. And you could sit down and hear them speak for a couple grand. That's interesting. I think what it really is you're buying access to high-profile, well, I'll be careful with my words, but in the case of Sam Bankman-Fried, high-profile individuals engaged in untoward activities. But if you're someone who would like to engage in said untoward activities, well, you got to meet them first, and you got to have the money. You got to pay. And if you can pay, maybe these fellers right here might do you something good. Now, Zelensky, you may be saying, what do you mean Zelensky? Well, here we go. The story is basically that Sam Bankman-Fried, running FTX, sets up a crypto donation portal for Ukraine. And the allegation, although the media would scream conspiracy theory, is that Democrats were funneling money into Ukraine. Ukraine was then converting, or Ukrainians and individuals would convert some of that cash into crypto, which could then be deposited into FTX. And then FTX, of course, was making large contributions, $38 million, I believe, to Democrats to help them win the midterms. And here's a funny thing. They would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for that pesky methamphetamine-riddled girlfriend of his, I guess. So this is Carolyn Ellison, his ex-girlfriend, I guess. She apparently has some tweet about how she's on amphetamines all the time and that she's like regular people. She looks down on them or something like that. It's like, whatever. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. We don't know exactly what is going on with all of this. The news keeps breaking and getting crazier and crazier. And many are speculating that this was some kind of establishment elite money trafficking scheme. And of course, Democrats being a part of that, were benefiting from it. Ukraine as well. And then you got BlackRock involved, at least tangentially because of the speaking event, maybe completely unrelated. But we're not fans of BlackRock either. And it's, let me just make sure I have this right. The CEO, Larry Fink of BlackRock. How fun. Here's a story from Fox News. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried's family boasts deep ties to Democrat power players. The Bankman-Fried brothers announced they were looking to make a splash in the midterm elections in May. Oh boy, this one gets interesting. The family of Sam Bankman-Fried, the beleaguered founder of the now bankrupt crypto exchange FTX, has significant ties to the Democratic establishment in Washington, D.C. The FTX CEO's family, which consists of his parents, Joseph Bankman and Barbara Fried, and brother Gabe Bankman-Fried, has contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars to Democratic candidates and actively worked with left-wing organizations committed to supporting Democrats. The four appeared to have had subtle influence on the Democratic establishment for the better part of a decade. Quote, "We're ambitious and looking to make a splash," Gabe Bankman-Fried said in an interview with NBC News in May. The Bankman-Fried brothers have led joint efforts to raise money to prevent future pandemics. Of the $38 million Sam Bankman-Fried donated to political campaigns and groups during the midterm election, $27 million went to Protect Our Future PAC, a political action committee dedicated to boosting candidates who would push forward anti-pandemic policies, i.e. lockdowns and mandates, according to the FEC. The PAC only gave money to Democrats and the gun control group Everytown for Gun Safety Victory Fund. Bankman-Fried's donation to the PAC represented more than 99.5% of its total money raised. Let me tell you. You know what I think? I think there has to be a shadow operation behind the scenes to funnel money into these kinds of creepy things. This may just be but one, and it may be a wild and crazy one. Maybe we should audit the Federal Reserve. Figure out what's going on with all that money. How about that? I really don't see that happening, but you have to wonder who's trafficking what money where and why. We can see the Democrats' omnibus spending bill with weird expenditures going to strange places. You see things like this, and perhaps there is this: Democrats give money to Ukraine, Ukraine shuffles it back through FTX, then Sam Bankman-Fried funnels some of this money into the hands of Democrats or into to their benefit. Or maybe it's not really that circuitous, and it's more that Bankman-Fried was just trying to buy himself immunity, because he knows as long as he's dumping money behind them, they're not going to want to go up against him because, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. They say Gabe Bankman-Fried, who has contributed more than $361,000 to mainly Democratic campaigns and causes over the last several years, funded the group Guarding Against Pandemics. The group researches and endorses candidates who then often receive cash from Protect Our Future PAC. A webpage highlighting Gabe Bankman-Fried's roles starting guarding against pandemics on the group's website was recently wiped, but was archived and reviewed by Fox News Digital. The webpage stated that he was previously a legislative correspondent for Rep. Sean Cason, D, out of Illinois, on the Capitol Hill between 2019 and 2021 and worked for Civis Analytics, a data firm that works hand in hand with Democratic PACs. Perhaps there should be some congressional inquiries. What perfect timing, I suppose. The Republicans have just taken the House. Fingers crossed they'll actually do something. I'm not super confident, but maybe. Schmidt provided, they say, Civis Analytics has positioned itself as a Democratic powerhouse in recent years. The firm was first born from President Obama's campaign after Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO and executive chairman of Alphabet, helped as a recruiter and trainer for the campaign and later teamed up with Dan Wagner, who the chief analytics officer for Obama's 2012 campaign, to help launch the company. Schmidt provided seed money for the firm and helped gather tens of millions of dollars in funding. Civis has since been on the payroll of several major Democratic committees, including presidential contenders. I love this because I remember Luke Rudkowski of We Are Change getting demonetized on YouTube shortly after he confronted Eric Schmidt. I thought it was funny. I mean, it sucks, but it's kind of funny. And so, like Luke didn't get hurt or anything. They just came after his money. So here's how the story goes. This is like 10 years ago. Luke's got a big YouTube channel. I wasn't really doing YouTube stuff as much. I was live streaming. I had a small channel. And Luke noticed that the monetization icon kept getting turned off on his videos. This was before the concept of demonetization. You'd upload a video. There was a money sign. It would be green. Or I think it would be green. And then Luke would go into YouTube and he would be like complaining like, dude, the ads are turned off. And he'd go back in and turn them back on. And then a day or so later, the video would be demonetized again. The ads would be shut off. Today, what happens is you get a hard notification that says you are demonetized, the yellow dollar sign. You can't change it. Back then, there was no such thing. He had to manually reinstate it. Well, this was, I believe, the first demonetization. And it happened shortly after he confronted then Google CEO Eric Schmidt. So, look, you reap what you sow, Luke. Not that it should happen, but it's like when you're fighting powerful individuals, don't be surprised if they try to destroy you. I'm not saying for sure that we know that Eric Schmidt did that to Luke, but I do think it's funny. Like, look, I get it. It's bad. But the reason I say it's funny is because it's kind of like they're scared. They're afraid. It's working. Luke sees him and he asks him a bunch of questions. The guy gets pissed off. And then all of a sudden, and I'll say this. It's funny because it's working, but also I like it because it's impressive that Luke is willing to bite the hand that feeds him. Luke was not willing to back down. He knows he's on YouTube. He knows what that means. He's still willing to confront the CEO. I respect it. So they say, Gabe Bankman-Fried worked for the firm during the 2018 election cycle. Civis received nearly $4.4 million from the likes of the Senate Majority PAC, House Majority PAC, Priorities USA Action, Democratic National Committee, and Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. The cash was primarily for research and data analytics consulting, FEC filings shows. And Sam Bankman-Fried's parents have also been involved with Democratic lawmakers and groups. Together, the pair has contributed more than $196,000 to mainly Democrats. Surprise, surprise. In addition, Barbara Fried leads Mind the Gap, a secretive organization that funnels massive amounts of money to Democratic campaigns, according to Influence Watch. The group has received major funding from well-known Silicon Valley donors, including Schmidt, the former Google CEO, Dustin Moskovitz, the co-founder of Facebook, Alan Blue, the co-founder of LinkedIn, and Jeff Horing, the co-founder of top venture capital firm Insight Partners. The core mission of Mind the Gap is to empower private political donors to strengthen our democracy. Strengthen our democracy by providing them with evidence-based guidance on the electoral strategies, tactics, and programs that are likely to achieve the greatest impact in a given election cycle. The group's mission states, drawing on rigorous research conducted over multiple elections, Mind the Gap uses quantifiable metrics to vet and compare promising programs and to direct donors to the organizations and tactics most likely to increase the probability of Democratic victory in key races. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. I think we get it. Dude is running some shady business. He's surrounded by people who give money to Democrats, and I'm not surprised that is the reality of things. Now, he can go ahead and blame his ex-girlfriend all he wants. I'm not buying it. I'm not. I'm wondering how she was gambling this money. Really. Bankman-Fried opened up in an interview about his mistakes, blaming his ex-girlfriend. Apparently, Vox reporter Kelsey Piper direct messaged him, and he just kind of admitted it. FTX technically wasn't gambling with who had gambled their money and lost it, and you didn't realize it was a big deal because you didn't realize how much money it was? Bankman-Fried responded, and also thought Alameda had enough collateral to reasonably cover it. It was never the intention. This is a game that's being played all over the place. Here's what happens. FTX, they create this exchange. And they have this hilarious commercial with Larry David. I'm going to admit outright, Larry David's a very, very funny guy. Basically, it's throughout history, Larry David rejecting all of like the best ideas, the wheel, coffee, signing the Declaration of Independence. And then finally, in the end, this guy goes, it's FTX. It's really easy. And he goes, I don't think so. Don't be like Larry. It's a funny commercial. You start an exchange. Poor individuals are duped and they dump tons of money into it. FTX then says, we're gonna deposit our funds with Alameda. We're not gambling with it. It's just being held there. Alameda was then hoping to take all of your money, billions, $11 billion of American consumers' money. Now look, to one person, $1, $2, $10, $100, it sucks to lose. For an individual, having access to $11 billion in capital, ooh. But they're not just going to take your money and spend it. No. Here's how it works. Let's say 1 million people contribute thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, varying, right? Ultimately, there's billions of dollars in Alameda. Alameda then crosses their fingers and says, let's put it all. No, I shouldn't use them as an example because I don't know exactly where they're investing it, but I'll give you a hypothetical example. Hey, everyone give me $100 and I'll hold it for you. And then you can exchange it by messaging me and it's faster than trying to fly to Texas to exchange with someone, right? Now I've got, let's say 1 million people give me $100. I got $100 million. To each individual who would lose $100. But with that 100 million, I then invest it in crypto or something like that. And then cross my fingers, the price goes up. And it should. All of a sudden, now I've got 150 million, sell it all off, put the money back, and now I got 50 million in my pocket. None's the wiser. The only problem with Alameda is that they weren't smart enough to pull it off. So they end up losing all the money and then going, oops, what do you do now? Nothing. Everything collapses. So apparently a bunch of celebrities are being sued for endorsing this, which I got to be honest, I think is really dumb. If you're a celebrity who's doing a commercial for something, how do you sue? Like, come on. That's just, nah. You're like, there's no way Tom Brady or Larry David knew anything was untoward with this company. They looked at the company. They were duped the same as everybody else. That's it, really. You know, the commercial I think was really funny. Oh, Steph Curry's advert showing him telling viewers, I'm not an expert. I don't need to be. With FTX, I have everything I need to buy, sell, and trade crypto safely. Well, of course, a lot of establishment cultists are constantly attacking Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the intent, or at least part of it. These are heavily Democratic donors. How is it that these it's leftists who are attacking crypto, but at the same time, it's Democrat donors who are launching this scam of a fund? I don't buy it. Bitcoin is a threat to the machine. Decentralized cryptocurrencies. Now, the weird centralized stuff that like the World Economic Forum wants, they want to play the game because they want to get ahead of this. But they can't control Bitcoin outright. They can try, and they're going to keep trying, and they want to get control of it. Surprise, surprise. This hurts crypto. All of a sudden, we're seeing various exchanges panic. People aren't able to get their money off. Even other companies. I'm getting messages from people saying, like, pull your money out now. And I'm like, whatever, man. Like, dude, I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. I don't care much for some of these other cryptocurrencies. I do have some. I have Ethereum. I have Bitcoin. I've got Cardano, and I've got Doge, and I mostly just ignore it. That's really it. I have some. I think Bitcoin's the real deal. The rest are kind of like buying stock or something like that. I don't know. And I'm just like, I don't know. I go on these exchanges, and I'm like, Bitcoin's legit. But all of a sudden, these Democrats, I have to wonder if this wasn't intentional. If the real goal here was, I have to wonder if they did this on purpose. Maybe Bankman-Fried was intentionally the fall guy. That's why he's this random nobody who rose to prominence seemingly out of nowhere. He's the patsy. They set up some stupid guy who's hopped up on goofballs. They funnel a bunch of money, damaging Bitcoin, giving tons of money to their friends, and then he takes the blame for it. Because let me tell you something. Alameda, they're gambling this money, right? But who to? Who received the money? Let's talk about the next level of a scam. Person A says, everybody, if you give me $100, I can hold that money for you and easily exchange it, and you don't got to think twice. Person gets $100 million. Then gives the money to his girlfriend. His girlfriend then says, I am going to gamble with this money. Ha ha ha. Hope I don't get caught. And gives the money to scammer number 3, who is an innocent old third party who just happens to sell cryptocurrencies or whatever. Then, phase 1. Alameda loses their investment. The company says, sorry, guys, you made bets that didn't pay out. You'll lose. We collect our fee, which turns out to be $10 million. Your money's all gone, shuffled away to various third parties, but it's not my fault. Everything I do is listen. B then says, whoops, I gambled the money. Not my fault. It was loaned to me, and it was a legitimate investment my company was making. And then Sam Bankman-Fried says, I was just giving the loan. I wasn't gambling the money. Alameda was. You see how they try and play that game. My question is, who's third in line? Where did this money get rolled over to? If the ex-girlfriend was investing these funds, quote unquote, gambling it, did she really break the law? She might say, I was given a loan by FTX. I don't know. Yeah. What do you mean? And then I invested it and my investments didn't pan out. These things happen. And then Bankman-Fried says, we're holding people's cash and we have the right to loan it as we see fit. We didn't gamble it away. We didn't think we was going to be lost. We thought Alameda had the capital to cover it. And then the girlfriend, who knows who got that money? Where did she send it? Where did she gamble it? I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out this whole thing was to steal billions of dollars and funnel it to Ukraine and Democratic candidates. Because I'm willing to bet a lot of that money went to Democrat-aligned individuals. We will see. I don't know for sure. We will see. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.
It's a funny looking hand symbol. I wonder what it means. And that hand, almost like doesn't look like a normal hand. Normal hands don't do that. And I've heard of hypercolor shirts, but I've never heard of shirts where letters disappear. Freedom to freedom. Where's that F go? Huh. Oh, and did you notice how his hair just moves so strangely? Have you ever seen his hair? It's plastered on. Does that look like hair that's gonna just move all over the place? I don't think so. And people think certain people get, and they don't. MLK, Don King, John Lennon, Steve Jobs. No, John Lennon, Steve Jobs. And, well, so many people saw that one, though. It had to be real. Wake up, people. Come on. They're all part of the club that you're not in. And they don't take out their own kind. And they tell you, you just gotta be paying attention. But, of course, all this for entertainment purposes. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk.
The end of China's monopoly. How Project Vault will shift $12 just lost its most powerful weapon. And it happened so quietly that most people didn't even notice. Let me show you exactly what changed. For decades, China has controlled the rare earth. Want to apply pressure, they just turn off the tap. And American companies panic, but today, that power died. Project Vault went live. $12 billion, a strategic reserve of critical minerals. The US government just built a fortress around the supply chain. And here's what nobody detecting $12 trillion in economic value. Think about it. The tech industry, $3 trillion. The auto industry, $2 trillion. Defense contractors, aerospace, renewable energy. All of it depends on rare earths, lithium, cobalt, gallium. If China cuts off supply, the entire American economy freezes. Project Vault stops that. Now let me tell you how this breaks China's strategy. For years, China used predatory pricing. Every time an American company tried to open a mine, China flooded the market with cheap materials. The American mine couldn't compete. It went bankrupt. Then China raised prices again. Project Vault breaks the trap. The US government is committed to buying these minerals at stable prices. American miners are protected. China can't starve them out anymore. Here's what the institutions already know. Larry Fink at BlackRock has been moving capital into infrastructure and real assets all year. Why? Because he knows what's coming. When governments pick winners, smart money follows. So here's my question for you. If you had to pick one sector that benefits from this mineral war, what would it be? Mining stocks, battery makers, defense contractors? Drop your thoughts below. And look, if this kind of intel helps you see the bigger picture, subscribe. I'm not here to waste your time with hype. I'm here to show you where the money is actually moving before CNBC explains it to you 3 months late. Now, quick legal note. This is educational content and market analysis, not financial advice. Do your own due diligence, always. But let's be real. The mineral war just went from cold to hot. Trump signed the order. The money is moving. The only question left is whether you're positioned before this becomes obvious to everyone else, because once it's obvious, the opportunity is gone.
Breaking news out of Cuba, where the president there just announced that while he's open to United States, his government also is not ruling out the possibility of entering a, quote, state of
West over oil trade and Venezuela. The United Nations even warning of a humanitarian crisis there.
First Lady Melania Trump sends a legal letter to Hunter Biden, threatening him with $1 billion lawsuit if he doesn't remove his video called Hunter Biden claims that Melania met Donald Trump through Jeffrey Epstein, a known child sex offender. Let me show you this video as it
Ladies and
breaks
gentlemen,
down.
the day of presidential litigation has arrived. It's lawsuit time. In my
Lawsuit
hand,
time,
is a
baby.
legal demand letter addressed to Mr. Hunter Biden from the First Lady of the United States.
That's
Demanding
wild.
A retraction of Channel 5's video called Hunter Biden Returns, in which Mr. Biden here makes some speculative comments about the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, and Donald Trump.
Okay, well, they knew each other well. They spent an enormous time together. According to his biographer, is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how
There
Melania
it is.
and
That's the
First
photo.
Lady and the president met.
Really?
A child sex offender.
Yeah, according to Michael Wolff.
Yeah.
And so I only can go by what people are saying, and I don't know.
He didn't make these claims out of nowhere. They come from another journalist named Michael Wolff, who is a biographer that actually spoke to Jeffrey Epstein. But now here we are. And I've got $1 billion document in my hands because Mrs. Trump is seeking $1 billion in damages if we don't take the video down. And if Hunter here doesn't issue a formal apology.
He has to apologize.
So now we're here.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Fuck that bitch.
To apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
Fuck that. It's not.
That's right, Hunter Biden. Fuck that. The Trumps always wants to sue people just because they're sharing the truth. This is America, and we got every right to expose how fucked up our government is, okay? Good job, Hunter Biden. Let's not be afraid of this tyrannical government. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. And if you do want to see the full video of Hunter Biden's return, I put a link.
Melania Trump is in the Epstein files. We've already talked about this earlier last week. And as I said, we have been going through these over the weekend. Biden saying what we all thought to be true, which is that Melania Trump met Melania Trump is in the Epstein files. We've already talked about this earlier last week. And as I said, we have been going through these over the weekend. And now we have just discovered what Melania Trump tried to hide for so long. Melania Trump met Trump through Epstein. So I'm going to take you through everything that we've known up until this point, and then I'm going to show you the emails that reveal without a doubt that that is actually the case. And this goes much deeper than we ever could have imagined. Now, we all know that this has been out here for a while, because here is Hunter Biden saying what we all thought to be true, which is that Melania Trump met Trump through Epstein.
They knew each other well. They spent an enormous time together. According to his biographer, is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how Melania and the First Lady and the President met.
Really?
Yeah.
Epstein made the intro.
Yeah, according to Michael Wolff.
That little snippet there was enough to set Melania Trump off. Now, if that weren't true, I kind of feel like you'd leave it alone. You wouldn't want to grab more attention to it. But there's a thing when something is true that it strikes a certain part of you that you feel like you have to defend. Perhaps it's ego. Regardless, Melania Trump responded to that by threatening to sue Hunter Biden over his Epstein claim. It says here, a letter from the First Lady's lawyers and addressed to an attorney for Hunter Biden demands he retract the claim and apologize or face legal action for over $1 billion in damages. It said the First Lady has suffered, quote, overwhelming financial and reputational harm because of the claim he repeated. Okay. It also accuses the youngest Biden son of having a vast history of trading on the names of others and repeating the claim to draw attention to himself. Oh my God. Like, if that's not something every single Trump has done the entire life. After this moment, Hunter Biden said the perfect response.
Ladies and gentlemen, the day of presidential litigation has arrived. It's lawsuit time. In my hand is a legal demand letter addressed to Mr. Hunter Biden from the First Lady of the United States, demanding a retraction of Channel 5's video called Hunter Biden Returns, in which Mr. Biden here makes some speculative comments about the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, and Donald Trump. He didn't make these claims out of nowhere. They come from another journalist named Michael Wolff, who is a biographer that actually spoke to Jeffrey Epstein. But now here we are. And I've got $1 billion document in my hands because Mrs. Trump is seeking $1 billion in damages if we don't take the video down. And if Hunter here doesn't issue a formal apology to Mrs. Trump, we're here maybe to give you the platform to apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
Fuck that. That's not going to happen.
Fuck Black, fuck Quack, fuck Eddie, fuck Fab, fuck Lowe's, fuck Shotta, fuck Smash, fuck O'Delly, fuck Jay.
Awesome. So Hunter Biden was like, nah, F you, F you. He didn't even stop there. He went on another podcast and said this.
Melania's lawyers sent me letters saying they're going to sue me for $1 billion. My response to that was, please do. In court, I would have the right to, number one, depose the person that's suing me, and that would be the individual Melania Trump. And I would have the right to subpoena and depose and seek discovery from every single person in their circle that would or potentially have knowledge about the genesis of the relationship between Donald Trump and Melania and their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, so he became righteously indignant. He basically called her bluff. Now, what's interesting, that lawsuit, it never materialized. This was, when is this? November this all happened. When is this? August. Not one lawsuit filed. So what these Trumps like to do is they like to throw their weight around. They like to throw their power around. They try to make people feel really small. They try to intimidate them so that they stop speaking up. But Hunter Biden is at least has a big enough of a name and enough of a platform that when he got those threats, he was able to say, make me. And it turns out Melania Trump back down because she never sued. Now, well, the interesting thing is, I wonder if what he's saying there is true. She wouldn't sue because discovery would be so bad and it would reveal everything that is coming out today, which is that is all true. Now, I want to remind you, too, that this is the person who directed Melania's movie. This man is Brett Ratner. He also directed Rush Hour. He's a big Hollywood guy, okay? Over this past week, you wouldn't believe who was out in the Epstein files. Yes. This man, the director of Melania's movie. I feel like, what is that meme where like the guy's staring at all the charts and all the strings are connected and everything? I feel like this is so connected in a way that we can't even fully comprehend. I mean, it's just so, is it funny? Is it ironic? I don't know what it is. But QAnon, which was a conspiracy theory that said there was an elite cabal of people who run the world, who put children into sex slavery, and it was all organized in a pizza shop. Turns out it was kind of true. There really is an elite group of people, all connected, who run the world and did unthinkable things to young children. The difference is that QAnon alleged that it was Hillary Clinton. And of course, the person who was in the center of a lot of this are the Trumps. Now, here's one of these emails. This is to Jeffrey Epstein, okay? As you're reading this, ask yourself, why would someone lie in a personal email to Epstein? I simply cannot believe this story. No one called it. We all thought she'd win. You must be happy, though. I remember flying back with Donald on his plane. The first weekend I went to visit you in Florida was the weekend he met Melania, and he kept on coming out of the bedroom saying, wow, what a hot piece of ass, nuts. Anyway, hope you're enjoying Saudi. Now we have this that just came out today. Now, obviously, a lot of redactions here. Now, what interestingly is not redacted, this is about ID models. Paulo Zimpoli, was trying to buy elite models with Epstein. And it says here, randomly, Epstein introduced Melania Trump to Donald Trump. Now, again, why would this be in here as a lie? Obviously, there's some there between the fact Melania's reaction to the allegations, the fact that we have a biographer that's not Michael Wolff who said as much. Now, there was a book that was meant to come out about Prince Andrew. And in that book, this biographer said that Melania met Trump through Epstein. Now, what Melania did was she actually sued the publisher so that that book could not get released here in the States and that it would be reprinted. And here's what he had to say about that.
So here we are with him in Mar-a-Lago, as you see with Epstein. Sorry, can you see okay? Epstein, a woman called Gwendolyn Beck, who Andrew took to the island, and Melania. I had various references in my book to Melania Trump. Epstein had actually been her lover before Trump, but Trump didn't like that in the book, so he ordered it to be taken out of the book. After about 60,000 copies had been printed. So it seemed to be a pretty pointless gesture, but anyway, our publishers did it, but I keep spreading the word.
Good for that biographer. So what does this mean? I'm not entirely sure. As I said, I think this is all connected. There's something deeper at play here that I think we have to uncover. As I've said too, we are going to keep following this story. Clearly, they don't want us to talk about it. Makes me want to talk about it more. I don't know about you. I want to talk about it more. So if you do want to keep following this Epstein drop, then please do hit like, subscribe. Liking lets YouTube know you like this video. Subscribing guarantees you'll see more videos like mine. And leave a comment. And I'll see you soon. Bye. All right, so this video is going to be about family. Hunter Biden, Eric Trump, my own important, and family can sometimes disappoint you, and sometimes family is what you need. Hunter Biden he attacked her, and the attacks he made, I think, are going to really sting. Eric Trump is clearly an idiot, and I want to talk about my own mom. Because I was on Andy Beshear, if you know, he's the governor of Kentucky, a Democrat. He's a unicorn. He's a Democrat who was elected by a majority Republican state to govern. I was on his podcast and we talked about how actually, I think the thing that MAGA, especially Trump, wants is us to stay divided. And I think one of the most powerful things we can do right now in this time is not allow hate to guide our relationships. And here's just a little bit about that.
About it, the belief that the American dream is out of reach.
It is, but this is the genius of Trump, is that he's kept us divided. Listen, my mom is very Republican. My dad is very Republican. I still love them, and I can talk to them about policy differences where they may be policies and not lies.
What's Thanksgiving like?
Thanksgiving is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Y'all love each other.
My mom's helped me with my YouTube channel a lot.
Wow.
Yes. Like,
people aren't as political as we think they are.
I mean, she's super political, but she
cares about her son.
Yes. And I think like whatever that is, we can have that with our neighbors as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the big lie to me is that we're more different than we are the same. I want the best for my country. I guarantee you so many MAGA voters feel the exact same way. We have different ways of getting there. I also believe that they are drinking a cup full of poison, and I cannot judge the person who is sick. I can judge the person who's making them sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hate the people who have done that to my fellow Americans, but I do not hate them. I love them and I hope they get better. And I don't think we can start with the getting better if we pretend like there's these huge differences that we can never overcome. Yeah. So that is just a bit of the podcast. I'm going to link it below. I hope you do watch it. I had a great time talking to Andy Bashir. He is a 2028. His name is bubbling up for a presidential run. We'll see if that happens, but I certainly enjoyed our conversation. I hope you'll check it out. And I also enjoyed Hunter Biden, who demolished Trump and attacked attacked Melania. And I don't know. I mean, do you think Hunter Biden should run for office? I kind of feel like we need people who are fighters. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Think about that while you watch this.
I've had to keep my mouth shut for the past few years, partially because of the prosecution against me, and with the ability for the U.S. federal government to use my words against me, because they're going to have me in front of a judge, or be able to twist them in whatever way that would result in and seriously negative consequences for me. But the idea that anything that I'm saying now is going to make me more of a target than I already am to Donald Trump, to MAGA. Look, man, and here's the other thing. Just as a son, as a man, this motherfucker, the way that he talks about my dad, fuck him. And again, sorry for my language.
It's okay.
But he is obsessed. And I tell you the reason why he's obsessed. Because unlike anyone else, my dad kicked his ass like a rented mule and beat him by 7.5 million votes, got more votes than anyone that has ever run for president of the United States of America, and 81 million votes, at higher participation rate than anyone that has ever run for president since 1901. That's why he hates my dad, because he beat him. So he has to literally change history.
May I add, instead of just fuck him, may I also say Donald Trump is a bitch? Can we just say that? Donald Trump is a bitch. Write that below in the comments if you feel inspired and if it makes you feel good. I feel good saying it. Donald Trump is a bitch. And only bitches like Donald Trump can't just accept the fact that they lost and have to then try to make the person who beat them smaller. And Hunter Biden, I mean, I personally think this is how Democrats should be talking. Very plain spoken. I mean, who hasn't heard someone talk like that before? And I do like that he is defending his father. And he also went on to attack Melania. Now, to get into this, I just want to point out that what he's going to be talking about is related to Epstein, because Melania Trump allegedly, this was in a book and then she sued. It was taken out. This is all alleged, whatever, where this book said how Melania met Trump is not the way she told, but actually through Epstein. Epstein invited Melania somewhere, invited her, introduced her to Trump, and that is where they met. Now, why would Melania sue a book to get that removed? Why would she threaten to sue Hunter Biden, but then never actually follow through on that lawsuit? Interesting. Here's what Hunter Biden had to say.
Melania's lawyers sent me a letter saying they're going to sue me for $1 billion. My response to that was, please do. In court, I would have the right to, number one, depose the person that's suing me, and that would be the individual Melania Trump. And I would have the right to subpoena and depose and seek discovery from every single person in their circle that would or potentially have knowledge about the genesis of the relationship between Donald Trump and Melania and their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Melania's lawyers sent me a letter.
Yeah. So Melania chickened out because more likely than go nowhere. And then it would be confirmed again. That is how Melania Trump met Donald Trump. There you go. There you go. I'm so glad Hunter Biden is not shutting up. I'm so glad he's not shutting up. And you know who else I'm glad is not shutting up? Eric Trump. Eric Trump. Very relatable set of statements on CNBC.
There's no reason at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon I shouldn't be able to send out a swift wire transfer. Right now you can't. I try and make a transfer every single week, and you're trying to push before the 5 o'clock deadline to either receive money or to get it out. How is that modern day finance? You can send $500 million worth of Bitcoin on a Sunday night at 11 p.m. while having a glass of wine with your wife for virtually zero fees. How is the system this lethargic? Why does it take you 120 days to get go through Know Your Customer with your bank if you want to get a home mortgage? It doesn't make any sense. Cryptocurrency is going to fix every single one of these issues, and Bitcoin is digital gold. Bitcoin is going to be one of the greatest stores of value we've ever seen, ever.
So this is the most expensive Thanksgiving in American history. And Donald Trump fought tooth and nail to stop low-income families from getting SNAP benefits so that they could eat. And then you have folks like Eric Trump fighting the real fight of why can't I send $500 million on a Sunday night? That's something that I think most Americans can agree with. We need that. We need that solved. We need that solved yesterday. Thank you, Eric Trump, for fighting for everyone so that we can all send hundreds of millions of dollars on the weekend while drinking a glass of wine in our apartments. What a fucking idiot. Jesus Christ. Fuck him too. He's also a bitch. All right. Well, thanks for watching. God, I got that fighting spirit now, don't I? I hope you do too. Like, subscribe. See you soon. Bye.
You are fully aware that the president is suing your agency for sum of money?
Yes, sir.
Where would that be cut from? Let's say for some reason he actually wins that lawsuit. Where would that $10 billion come from?
Again, it would come from
process-wise. I'm not asking like your opinion whether it's right or wrong.
It would come from Treasury.
It comes from Treasury, which comes from the general fund?
The Treasury general account.
So taxpayers.
Yes.
The law that Congress passed and that Donald Trump signed says that the DOJ cannot hide any names or photographs of. Well, guess what? When these files were released, it was clear that they did. Case in point, this photograph with the face blacked out. Who could it be?
Before you joined the FBI, you railed against it for covering up Jeffrey Epstein's human trafficking ring. Let me refresh your memory with this clip.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
So you finished that December 2023 interview with a challenge to the FBI and harsh words for Republicans in Congress for not getting the Epstein files out to the public. You can see this clip.
Boy pants, and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are, you said. You emphasized that the president and FBI director each had complete authority to release Epstein's client list. You said Epstein's black book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. Look at this clip.
This is way off the topic, but
who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean,
Oh,
there's.
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
All right, so you were sworn in as director more than 200 days ago. Now the Black Book is under your direct control. So why haven't you released the names of Epstein's co-conspirators in the rape and sex trafficking of young women and girls?
The Rolodex, which is what everybody colloquially refers to as the Black Book, has been released.
Oh, no, you're talking about what the journalist got 5 years ago? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what you were talking about there.
That's
the Black
exactly
Book under the direct control of the FBI director.
We have released more material than anyone else before. The Biden administration, Obama administration had the exact opportunities to release this material, and they never did. And if you are selling the men and women of the FBI,
Why
we're
have
not
you
going after
changed your
child
position?
predators. Hang on, you said we're not going after child predators. 1,500 child predators arrested this year, 35% increase.
I'll reclaim my time.
4,700 child victims
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to
found.
reclaim my time if you could instruct the witness. Why have you changed your position? There you were saying it's under the direct control of the FBI director and all of it should be released. Why have you changed your
Everything
position?
that has been lawfully permitted to be released has been released. And as I told you,
Really?
the investigation was limited. And let me make something crystal clear. I never said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic other people, other women, and they're not other victims. This is the investigation we were given from 2006, 7, and 8, and the search warrants from 2006, 7, and 8. That's what we're working with.
Wait, have you released all of the stuff that the FBI has seized from Epstein's house? The computers, the emails, the file cabinets, the documents? What about the financial records? Have you released all of that?
Everything the court has allowed us to
Which
release.
court are you talking about?
3 separate federal courts have come in and said.
We're talking about the evidence you've got. It's got nothing to do with what those courts have.
Do you have any
We're talking
idea
about
how
evidence.
the law works? Do you want me to break the law in a federal judge's order?
No, I want you to
satisfy
follow your own
curiosity?
word, Director Patel.
With Harvard University starting this fall. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says it's discontinuing all graduate level professional military education. Secretary Hegseth wrote, quote, Harvard is woke. The War Department is not. He says the Army, Navy, and Air Force will be evaluating similar relationships with other universities in the coming weeks.
Abramovich. A lot of talk about her paintings, who she's around. Charles, it has the painting of pentagram, or Lucifer himself, it's in the painting, but it's hidden. Is any of it a coincidence?
I don't think there's any coincidence.
I mean, I don't either.
There's 3 types of curses: natural curses, generational curses, and then there's these preternatural curses. Within that, you have things like Freemasonry, theurgy, alchemy, and what we call pelican witchcraft. Pelican witchcraft, or those types of witchcraft, used more bodily. Again, a mockery of the Holy Eucharist.
Do you think that the purchaser of the painting understands what's inside there?
Yeah, I do.
We are learning that members of Congress will be able to view unredacted copies of the Epstein files starting Monday. That, according to 2 sources familiar with the plans. And it comes after calls from some lawmakers and survivors for more in the investigations related to Epstein. At the same time, tensions are hitting a new high between President Clinton and Republican lawmakers over whether he will testify on Epstein in public. The former president writing on X late today in part, quote, I will not sit idly as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican Party running scared. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this the right way in a public hearing.